But now I don't see those cobbles and curbs. I don't hear the blues anymore.
Rough Trade is giving away a third of the first 3 months of the Rough Trade Club plus new music membership exclusively to 101 Part-Time Jobs listeners. Become a member of Rough Trade Club New Music and you'll receive the Rough Trade Album of the Month straight to your door every month on exclusive vinyl pressing with exclusive bonus material. Club members have received exclusive pressings of albums from Sufjan Stevens, Sprints, The Last Dinner Party, Julie Byrne, and Over Mono, just to name a few, this past year alone. Sign up using the promo code CLUB101POD and you'll get the Rough Trade Album of the Month, English Teacher's excellent debut album, This Could Be Texas, on exclusive Galaxy Gold for a third of the usual price. Here's English Teacher on a recent episode of 101.
How many opportunities do you get to write a debut album and have all of this, sport behind us? I don't know, I really like the idea of holding the bar as being like classic songs.
You only get one shot at a debut.
Don't want the album of the month but still want all the benefits? Sign up to the standard tier using Club 101 Pod and you'll still get the first month free. You'll also get free shipping on all orders, 10% off the bar and on secondhand vinyl in-store, and exclusive access to sold-out Rough Trade events. So don't hang around. Go to roughtrade.com/club and sign up with the code CLUB101POD. That's CLUB101POD and claim money off the album of the month, English Teachers This Could Be Texas, today. This offer's available to UK residents only. Do you play in bands? I did for the longest time. And I wish that I knew that DistroKid was a thing. I don't even think it existed back then. DistroKid makes music distribution fun and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of your royalties and earnings. 1 million plus artists rely on DistroKid to get their music on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all the major streaming services. When you get DistroKid, you can see a DistroKid bank and withdraw your earnings. You get notified when you've earned royalties and you can withdraw via the app. And you can even check your streaming stats on Spotify and Apple. Get 30% off your first year on DistroKid by going to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. 30% off for your first year. That's not bad. We know it's a tough world out there. Why don't you make it easier for yourself? And to get 30% off that free year as an artist, where you get 100% of your royalties and earnings, go to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. All right, stay with me. I'll be right back after this.
The Vietnam War, it's over. Your job has just begun.
A new HBO original limited series.
Welcome to the world of spycraft. Strap in.
From executive producers Park Chan-wook and Robert Downey Jr.
What are you concealing?
Based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Viet Thanh Nguyen.
What if I told you that I was a communist spy?
How did you become this?
The Sympathizer, streaming April 14th on Max. Subscription required.
Hey there! Did you know Baker's always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Baker's app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Baker's today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Welcome to 101 Part-Time Jobs with me, Giles Bidder. It's the podcast where I speak to musicians, creative people who have been prolific in being stubborn, in being able to just play music all the time, no matter what they're doing in life, to put time into their vision. People who are creating stuff. That's the thing that gets me hard. That's the stuff that makes me really excited, is people who are building their own world. People who are being like, fuck that. I don't really care what else is going on. I'm going to do my own thing, take what I think is cool from the world and build my own treehouse, make my own skate ramp, write my own record. And such is the case is Will Anderson, who is Hotline TNT, really. He wrote all the songs. He plays all the instruments on their new record, Cartwheel. They're a brilliant live band. There's 5 of them. I saw them in London. There was some sickies. Their tour manager was playing guitar. After the show, I went up to Will, and it was kind of funny actually. I was the last person at the merch desk. I was a bit kind of half cut, and I kind of ambled up to the desk, and when someone's like, they want you to order and fuck off. I very much got that vibe from Will, and I appreciated it. I asked him for at the merch desk, sometimes like, how much is this, how much is that? I'm saying I'm not the person who's going in for deals. That's not what I'm saying, but I will take them if you're offering. There was a newsletter that was a $5, and so I picked that up, and on the way home I read it and just totally fell in love with this personality, this guy writing about basketball, talk about his family, his brother and his dad, and I thought, what a wonderful thing that he can connect basketball and his love for it and his familial life with music and with punk rock. That's a bit of me, that I love that stuff, and that made me really kind of step into Will Anderson's world. So we set up this chat, and we're going to get to know Will from Hotline TNT just a little bit better. If this is your first time listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs, welcome. This is episode 302. We've had some amazing guests come on recently, feeling very lucky. Kurt Vile was our 300th episode. Feel free to scroll down and find someone you're interested in and click play. I think that's the way this thing works, right? If you're able to subscribe, that would be massively appreciated. If you've got 30 seconds to leave a rating or a review, that would be mega. That is top draws. 2000 Trees is a brilliant festival in Cheltenham, just a few hours away from London on the train. They're a brilliant independent festival that I love going to every year, and they've just announced their 2024 lineup, where the Gaslight Anthem is headlining, Manchester Orchestra's playing, Hot Mulligan, Boston Manor, Gouge Away, loads of brilliant bands to be announced. It's always stellar there. If you want to get your ticket, and trust me, if you want to go to a camping festival next year in the UK and you're into this kind of music, 2000 Trees is really the one you should go to. You can get tickets right now at 2000trees.co.uk. They're the cheapest they'll ever be right now, and if you get them before the end of the year, then you'll be able to return them and get a full refund only before the end of the year. It's pretty cold out there. It's cold in my flat and I'm complaining about it, although this week I've decided to stop complaining about it because there's people on the road. This is the time of year, you'll be reading about it for a reason. That's because people are living outside on the street, living in tents. It's not a lifestyle choice. Their tents are being taken away by particular councils around the UK, being driven away by those dustbin lorry bastards. If you go past someone today or tomorrow and they look like they're in need of a cup of tea, you can buy someone a hot drink. It's cold this winter. crisis.org.uk. Have a look and just have a think. I mean, just even by talking about it and having a bit of brain power going towards homelessness in the UK and around the world, we can do some good by thinking about what we can do and then putting that into action. Okay, before we get into this chat, I've got Rebecca from Eka and also Ampolo here. Ampolo is the first all-in-one app connecting a global community of musicians to practice, record and collaborate. And there's some new features coming on there, aren't there, Rebecca? You can start making money as an artist. Other artists can remix your songs. What's going on over there?
So we've heard people say before that the magic of the app is the fact that you're able to upload any music, remove your instrument and play along so you feel part of the song. I mean, there's really no feeling like it when you're playing with one of your favourite songs and you feel like you're part of that band. We have revolutionary tools which allow you to layer your audio and video recordings to share and collaborate with others in your own real-time project. And that's all thanks to our AI music separation.
All right, Ampolo, download it now. Okay, here we go. From Hotline TNT and Ass and Up, it's Will Anderson. 101 part-time jobs. You've got a dog in your flat in Brooklyn?
He is at his babysitter's house in Minneapolis, or Red Wing, Minnesota, actually.
That's a bit of a ways away, right?
It is, yeah. But this is kind of like a long stretch. We did the UK, obviously. And I was supposed to go right from the UK to Vancouver and then straight to Syracuse for another 3 weeks. And I was just like, I'm going to make sure he's really happy. Get him with he's got a cousin there, a dog cousin, and some other cats. Yeah. So
cool.
I didn't want to figure back and forth New York babysitting.
Yeah, so your schedule's pretty crazy right now. How does that suit the kind of person that you are, do you think?
Yeah, I like to be choked out, for sure. It can be hard at times, but there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. So
I guess you build into it, right? Because you played in Weed
yeah,
a few years back,
Yep.
and you toured. You did the touring thing. You released some records.
yeah.
You learned how to tour.
Yeah, we definitely I learned how to tour in those days. I wouldn't say it's nearly as crazy as what I'm doing right now, but I mean, I was in school too at that time, so it was kind of like literally every school break we're going to schedule a tour. Every summer vacation we're doing a tour. Weekends we'll do a couple, everything you can. So
yeah, I guess it builds up, doesn't it? It builds up into what you're doing now with Hotline TNT. Of that weekend once every month becomes twice, and then it just doubles up. You're always folding down the paper.
Yeah, definitely. It's just the balance keeps tipping further and further into what we're at now, which is almost all the time.
The songs are great. The album's great. There's such a great feeling. A lot of the tagline in the emails and the reviews is like shoegaze, teenage fan club. And that's pretty good entry point, but I think you've got your own thing going on. That's the special thing. There's like some power pop, leaving town, out of town. That's my favorite.
Oh, cool.
Fucking what a fucking hit. Where does that come from for you? Like a song like that, a song like Out of Town, was that like in the midst of other tunes that you were writing at that time? Was that part of a batch?
That was actually a bit of a standalone, to be honest with you. That was kind of like I had already finished what I thought was the album, and then this one kind of snuck in at the last second. What
is it about it? That happens, doesn't it? That's like it's a weird thing that happens.
Yeah,
got the album ready.
It was all done. Thing. I worked with 2 different producers for most of the record, and then I just kind of had one more song that I was noodling around with in my apartment here in the bedroom, and had a 4-track version. And I hit up my friend Drew, who lives in New York, and I was like, dude, can you get us into a practice space and just record this one last song? And I'm glad we did.
Great.
People are definitely liking that one, so it's cool.
Yeah, awesome. 4 tracks. I mean, that must be fun to record on the 4-track. Drum machine?
Not for that one. That one, the 4-track is usually just I'll do like 2 acoustic guitars and 2 vocal tracks. Yeah. But yeah, it's a Tascam I had since I was in high school. Still, it's the Porta Studio.
Yeah,
I could grab it right now, but it's in the other room, and it's like literally this big, and that's all I need.
I've got this one, and I haven't actually used it yet.
Yep, I think that's like one step up from what I have. So mine's even more basic than that.
But I've spent a couple of £100 on it, and it's stupid that I haven't used it yet. But I'm just waiting for the right time. I don't know, to feel good and do it, because it's got its own. Because I did use it when I got it at but it's got its own personality, doesn't it? It has some bits that it knows how it wants to be treated.
Yeah, no, it definitely. Even after all these years, there's stuff I'm learning about it that I didn't. It's really fun to work with limitations, I think.
That's funny,
and it helps kind of push the songs in new directions.
Yeah, for real. It's like an instrument in itself, really.
Absolutely.
And so it's you say you recorded the record all by yourself, did you?
No, I didn't record. I played everything on it, but
you played everything on it. Yeah, sorry, that's what I mean.
Yeah. For the I would say 95% of it is me. There's a couple.
Nice. So you got a sort of a Marky Smith thing going on, Hotline TNT. If it's fucking Will Anderson and your nan on bongos, it's still Hotline TNT.
As long as I'm there, it's going to be good. Yep.
I went down and I really appreciate YouTube for this. I went down a rabbit hole of your stuff.
Okay.
Because I saw you at the show on Friday. I came up and I bought a newsletter zine from you.
Yeah.
And I read it on the way home, and I was like, "Fuck yeah! This is I'm so down with that kind of imagination, that creativity, that stuff around the music, the stories." And I was reading something about basketball and your family and your dad and your brother. I'm like, this is awesome. This makes my whole experience of Hotline TNT.
That's what I want, man. I mean, that's what I like. I mean, that's really what I'm trying to like when I seek out bands that I get obsessed with. I want to see their fanzines. I want to see what they're lives are like behind the scenes and stuff like that. You know, not like obviously everyone's got a persona, and I'm sure I have a persona that I'm putting out into public. But I don't know. I just think that stuff is cool. It's all the bands I love do that kind of stuff for the most part.
It's fun. It's funny. I think there can be more comedy. There can be more funny in punk rock, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, comedy, I think, is pretty intrinsically intertwined with good punk and good indie rock, and that's my favorite kind of stuff. So, I'm trying to do that with my stuff.
Assnup.com. I mean, that's just funny by itself, isn't it?
Assenup, yeah. So it's like ASS''N, which is short for association. Yeah.
And when did you start that? When did you have the idea for that? When did that start percolating?
I started that in the pandemic. I was hunkered down in Seattle randomly. I was like, I was in New York when it started up, and kind of like got away for the summer. There was a vacant apartment my friends had kind of abandoned in Seattle, and I was just alone, like most people, all summer.
Yeah.
A couple walks outside with, 6 feet away, whatever. But when the basketball season started up again, I've been a big basketball fan for a long time. I just, my love of fanzines and my love of basketball and my love of punk rock all kind of just like, let's do it all in one thing. That's where
I love the way that your family's so included. I mean, I kind of go in and out of keeping in touch with my family, which is, it kind of sucks actually. It's like, I should be better, maybe you can only speak for yourself. I should be better, But I mean, my brother actually just called me and I'm like, fucking awesome. I kind of reconnected with him just over the years and keeping your family in the loop. It's, you hear it so much when you're younger. It's like, family's important. I've always, hate to say it out loud, but I kind of think, whatever, but there's something really well-spirited about keeping in touch with the family.
It's hard, it's like, and my mom would say the same thing. It's just like, she loves every time we get to connect, but she also, I think, has been pretty understanding that like I've gotten busy with my life and I moved away. But it's, it goes both ways. It's like, I do have this desire to go back and spend time with them. And, I try to include them and I text them like the news about the bands when it comes up, and it's nice. Up until
they
now,
like the band, they're interested.
Yeah, it's like, it's hard to explain sometimes because like until we're doing a Tiny Desk concert like on NPR, it's like, I don't know if you guys understand what NPR is as a UK person, but like, my parents, they know what Rolling Stone is, they know what NPR is, but like they don't know what Pitchfork is necessarily. I mean, I've tried to explain what it is, and but I don't think they, up until now, maybe realize that like, oh, this could be more than just a hobby or whatever. But they were always supportive of that too, though.
And how do you feel about that stuff? I mean, we know Pitchfork is, how changing that can be for a band. You get a good review on Pitchfork, and it actually really can change your life.
Yeah,
how much do you care about that stuff?
I care. Yeah. I mean, it's it's a well-respected website. I mean, respect it or not, there's a lot of eyeballs on the website, and it definitely amplified the reach of the band. And I've seen that kind of explode since the album came out. And I don't think it's all Pitchfork, but it's like, that was one of many reviews that had some nice things to say about the record, and I'm appreciative and flattered about that. But I'm not, trying to cater to them. I've been making the same kind of records for like 5 years now. It's not like I didn't change it up this time. So it's cool that they're lining up to say I'm great, but that wasn't my plan necessarily.
And there's something ingrained in indie rock and punk rock and hardcore where you don't. Perhaps there are bullies. There are always going to be people who are condemning certain outlooks and behavior and wanting to be a quote unquote big band, just to kind of dumb it down here to big bandness. Is that a conversation that you've had internally and externally about wanting to play music, wanting to be involved in something that's community based and is around punk, but also like, why? I mean, I'm probably showing how I feel, but why can't you scale it up and still make cool shit?
Well, that's what we're trying to do. I mean, honestly, we are trying to scale it up, and like, given the amount of time and money and effort that not only me, but everyone who's been in the band have put into it, it's like we're getting older, and I hate to say it, we're getting older, but like we can't pay the bills of our apartments and like our other things that feed our soul and our bodies if we don't start getting a little bit of return on the amount of time we're dedicating to this, which we love, and we'll do it whether or not there is financial return. But like, if the audience is growing, is there a way to, scale it up and like make it more of a source of income, I guess? Not to make it all capitalistic or anything like that.
And still do Asin Up and still have fun.
Still have fun. And like, the label that we are with, Third Man, is very like, I would like every label to act this way, but I think Third Man really has acted this way, which is like, we want you because of what you've already been doing. Like, we're not going to like come in and try to change it. So, we'll get out of the way, you do your thing, and we'll amp it up. That's kind of what they're doing. I don't think I have to change too much.
And being in a community with Sheer Mag must feel pretty fucking cool. You toured with them, right?
Yeah, they're like my favorite band. I mean, and they are heroes in the DIY scene. And I modeled a lot of what I did as a young musician after what they did, even though we're kind of close to the same age. But they really did. And I told them this on the tour. It's like the way they do business changed the way I interacted with the music industry. And when they kind of signed up with Third Man, I kind of heard they were going to. It made me more interested in like, okay, they're doing it. Maybe we should do it too. Like, yeah.
So what are the mechanisms of like, what are the sort of a couple of like the most key points of, business and operating that you learned from them?
From Sheer Mag?
Yeah.
Oh, they did, from what I could tell, everything themselves, down to like producing the records and distributing them, and just like, pretty much gave a middle finger to anyone from corporate music worlds. And they weren't a traditional, sonically, a punk or hardcore band, which we all like and stuff too, but they kind of existed in that punk adjacent worlds, but they were making like Thin Lizzy rock and roll style music. And everything from the production style, like, of the music, and like, I don't know, they're heroes to me for sure. And the way they kind of move through the world, I'm trying to think of anything specific, but they were just a banging band that everyone was super into, and they didn't take the easy route of like, cashing their chips in too early.
They got their own lane, don't they? They kind of built their own world.
Yeah. There's a whole lore behind that band, and I think that was very inspiring to me.
Have you met Jack White?
I have not. No.
Is that gonna happen?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. I really do not know. I've never heard from him. I assume I know he's aware that the band exists and we are on his label, but I think it's kind of cool. It's like Jack obviously started the label with some other people, but it seems like the vibe I'm getting is that like Jack maybe doesn't want to like have this be like the Jack White label anymore, where it's like, even this interview we're talking about him, but it's like,
that's the danger, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like, oh, Hotline TNT, oh, they're on Jack White's label. It's like, well, he's not even involved really. He's just, he's started the label, but it's kind of like, I think hopefully, I'm not going to put words in his mouth. I don't know. I think it's maybe trying to move into like a new era of like, this is just a record label and it's a cool label.
Yeah. And he's a guy who's got cool, interesting opinions on how artists can be sustainable.
Yeah.
Be creative, exist in a world where like playing music or working a quote unquote regular job, why shouldn't they be more or less the same thing? If you can get
it's tough,
paid for it, you can do anything in the world. You can sit in an office job and not get paid as an intern.
Sure.
People still think of it as work, but you don't necessarily, the culture around us, I feel that, people don't really think of playing in a band as work. And hey, I don't want to make it boring, but it's like, or like kind of woe is you or anyone else playing music. But it's like, I think it's so important to be like, yeah, that's cool. It's something to support, something to nurture, something to think of strategically, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a lot of work being in a band if you're going on tour and making records, it's a lot of work, and people, it's weird because like, I don't think anyone would argue with the fact of like, we're paying someone to engineer this record or mix the record. Like, they're going to get paid. Of course they're going to get paid. But it's like, it is kind of a dirty word to kind of think of like the actual musicians making money off playing music and touring. It's weird. Money can corrupt people, of course, and it makes art weird, but it's there's a lot of blurry lines and that stuff. And we could talk all hour about that, probably.
I'm 100 hour part-time jobs. I'm 100 hour part-time jobs. I've been working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 101. 101.
The last 2 years, I've really been hitting it hard with the substitute teacher game, which is, I think, a common one for people who are trying to make music and be actors and that kind of artist world. So I moved to Minneapolis in 2016, which is basically where I'm from, about an hour away from there. Nice. I was a few years out of school and had never taught a day in my life, never thought about teaching anything, but I had a friend who suggested it, and I looked into the requirements, and in Minnesota, you have to have a 4-year degree and a pulse, and then you are in to be a substitute teacher at the Minneapolis public schools.
That's a good shout.
And
when you say your friend suggested it, that so often I think that's the case. You hear about these things and you kind of right time to hear someone suggest something. You're like, oh yeah, cool. And then you get off your ass and do some research, and that's interesting, isn't it? I often thought in school growing up, I thought like at some point it'll just get easier and I won't have to think. I've recently realized, like 15 years later, I guess, it's like, oh no, like brain work is good. You do eventually at some point get rewarded for brain work, and just try. It's not easy to try. Mental health gets in the way, really sort of stands between you and doing stuff. But that's the kind of you got to give yourself the best opportunity, right?
Yeah. No, it is hard. I mean, a lot of people that I know in my life, I have a hard time trying and getting out of the funk that they're in. And I don't blame people, but it's like, there's something, I mean, I get into funks myself all the time, but at some point you just kind of got to start moving, put one foot in front of the other. And that's a very sweeping statement I just made, but it's not, you got to do that, but it's,
it's so hard to talk about this stuff without making sweeping statements, and I get myself in trouble. I have these debates with loved ones quite a lot, and no one's it's not coming from a bad place, of course it's not. That's the bottom line, and we were just trying to like work it out, trying to like give ourselves a good foundation of whatever that means.
But before I was teaching, I lived in Vancouver for almost 10 years, and I was I was a manager of a comic book store. That was a very chill, just retail job.
Quality.
It didn't pay $1 million an hour, but it was my boss was like basically a family to me, and just let me go on tour whenever I had to go, and I was able to as the manager, I was kind of able to be like, all right, can I get my friend in here to work the shop for these 2 weeks I'm out? It was pretty low key. So.
Cool. And what was your life like around then? I mean, were you pretty upbeat, pretty relaxed lifestyle? I mean, you're going to comic book. People are always going to buy comic books, right? Especially in the States. I mean, that's how I imagine it anyway. But
this was in Canada, but yeah, close enough.
Sorry,
no, it's okay.
Excuse me, rude.
No, it's fine. My life was pretty cool, pretty chill. Yeah, I mean, there was always as soon as I graduated college until this day, there was always the kind of a low hum in the background of my student loan debt. And that's always going to be there, I assume. But other than that, I mean, everyone has stress day to day, but like, it was a pretty good slacker job for an art school graduate who wants to go on tour all the time.
Yeah. Being a manager, that's quite a lot of responsibility, isn't it?
No. not at this store. I think what did I have to do? Calculate the sales tax? Not even that. I punched in the numbers, and I I was doing cool stuff at the store. Like me and the boss, the owner of the store, we like started up a newspaper together, and we were doing that every month. And there was like a lot of work behind that, which, not that it ever made money for the store, but it was definitely like a labor of love. And that was one of my duties. We had shows there occasionally, art shows, stuff like that. Some light curation evolved around that. But they're just working at a cash register, selling Pokemon cards for the most part.
Living out the Kevin Smith dream, sounds like.
Exactly. But the funny part is I wasn't even a comic person. And I still, I dabble occasionally. But the only reason I started working there is because I was still in school, and it was just a cool store. I mean, I walked in there once in a while, and I kind of got to know the owner, and found out that he was a big basketball fan and player. And we started playing basketball together. And one day I was like, dude, if you ever need somebody to wash the tail at Lucky's, it seems like a good job, chill job. And I was like, I said it offhandedly. And 6 months later, I think he DM'd me on Twitter and saying like, do you want to work at the store like right now? And I was like, yeah, I'll come up right now. Rode my bike up from school, and 7 years went by.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What were you studying?
I did visual art, just general visual art. I was doing a lot of like collage work and like video collage and screen printing, stuff like that.
Do you think you were always gonna make stuff? You always gonna make art, make music?
Did I think that then?
No, when you were a teenager, from that kind of that age that you start thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to make decisions now about what I study and what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I think it's funny. My older brother, I had one brother. His name's Frank, and he kind of was a bit of a role model of just like, he went to school for film studies, and it was just like, it's a cliche, but I was kind of like, oh yeah, I want to do that too. I'm into that. Mm-hmm. So I started at like the state school in Vancouver called UBC, and I went for film studies, and didn't last long there. But yeah, I mean, he did my brother got me into music as a kid, and like got me into playing guitar and being in jazz band and stuff like that. So that's kind of the earliest I remember, and I haven't really put the guitar down since then, or the bass or whatever,
Yeah.
So
nice.
Probably around 6th or 7th grade.
Are you as much into hardcore as you're into indie rock?
No, not as much. I'm like, I would say hardcore adjacent. There's a few bands I love and listen to and go to their shows every time. But like in my day-to-day life, I listen to more like of the classic, like SST style hardcore than anything else, if I'm in that genre.
Good energy. You can fucking taste that stuff, can't you? You can taste the cassette dust.
Of course.
Did you play in any hardcore band? Have you played in hardcore bands?
I have played in one in Vancouver called Crazy Bugs. Some people up there. That was like one of my favorite bands to be in.
You've lived around then. You've moved around. You grew up kind of near Minneapolis. Replacements head?
Way more Husker Du.
Interesting.
But I love both now.
And you moved up to Vancouver at some point.
Yep, 18 years old.
You lived in Seattle?
Brief, not really. I wouldn't even say I lived in Seattle. I stayed in Seattle for like a stopover, pretty much.
That's quite good on you. Good on living in a few different places and being open to that. I mean, I think that we do get in the way of ourselves sometimes. That, like, my girlfriend's German, and I'd love to live in Germany, and I'm getting closer to that idea of actually visualizing it. But it's taking a little while. On one hand, it's just buying a plane ticket, and trying to work out a job. You always have to allow yourself to move around and get experiences.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting, and I think for a while when I finished high school, I like every year, the first 4 or 5 years, I just moved every year, and you can kind of get addicted to that because it's kind of like, this isn't exactly what I want, so I'm going to bail and go to the next place, and this isn't exactly perfect, so I'm going to bail and go to the next place. And thinking about Minnesota people, like Prince, who was one of my first heroes. From Minneapolis. Like, I think what's so cool about him is that he stayed the whole time. I mean, I'm sure he has houses in LA or whatever, or he did, but like, he really did stay in Minnesota the whole time. But no, I'm really lucky. I mean, going back to what you said about, I have a great deal on this apartment, and New York is expensive, but I'm very lucky, and it's cool to live here for sure.
Yeah. And do you feel like, I live in London, and there's always that pressure of like, there's like 5 good shows that you want to go to any day of the week.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure. I mean, recently I've just been sacking it all off and just staying at home. Hotline TNT was my big Friday night out. I rode my bicycle there and listened to Guided by Voices, drinking a can on the road. That's my big night. The rest of the week I'm just at home now because I just got to fucking relax. What's your attitude? I
mean, I love being at home, and this place is like a little bit remote from like the center of the action of like, it's not like far, but like if you want to get to a show, I'm going to sound super pampered right now, but if I want to go to a show or go to a bar, I can't walk out the door and go to it. I have to, it's going to be at least 20, 30 minutes on the train, walk up a hill to get there. And that's
it's fine. Like with teenagers again. You got to try.
Yeah, I got to be a teenager, and like, I am happy to do it, and I love being in like the most intense city in the world, where there's always shows happening. But I love being at home. I love being on my computer and playing video games and watching basketball and hanging with my chihuahua.
Yeah, nice. Is right now a bit of a transitionary time for you in terms of part-time jobs and side hustles and like literally not having time to do that?
It is. Yeah. I have only worked one day at the Department of Education so far this school year, which is, only started in like September, but, we've been on tour pretty much since then. And I'm hoping to, sign up for some days in December, but, we'll see. I don't know how much I'm going to work at a day job this year. I hope it's less and less.
Right on. I mean, are you getting, sorry if this is a rude question, but you're getting paid a bit more for shows? You can start organizing and forward thinking, being like, okay, we're going to do that tour. We're probably going to end up with this much at the end of that.
Yeah. Well, we have, this has been a DIY band for a long time, but finally in the last year, we started adding some people into the behind the scenes team. We got a manager, we have a booking agent, and they're it's their job to make sure we have enough money to keep going. And that's how they get paid too. So it's like, it's weird, but it has become a business. It's in everyone's best interest to sustain it. And someone's making money off this music. It's not me yet, but we're trying to get a bigger piece of that pie. And, it's all going to go back into the band, of course, at the end of the day.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
We talk about business. I mean, we're always going to sort of say business in a bit of a dour way because it's like business, it's a dirty word. And I kind of want to turn that on its head and be like, look, we've just met, but you're an interesting person. If we started a business, we'd both be characters and personalities, putting our ideas, love, experience into something we make. I think that just want to point out that you can have a business, but it's about the people. It's about the people that make the business.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, unfortunately, we are, of course, doing our best to dismantle the capitalist system that we live under. But in the meantime, we gotta kind of simultaneously live within it and survive and fight more, pick battles and keep fighting whatever you can, however you can, while also eating food and taking care of your loved ones and stuff like that.
I think making something out of nothing is maybe the most radical thing, and where you spend your money as well.
Of course. I mean, it's It's economics is you vote where you spend your money and where you don't spend your money. It's boycotts, all that stuff. It's all, unfortunately, that's what talks the loudest.
Again, the older I get, the more I'm kind of thinking, okay, how can I make this work best for me? Because no one else is going to do it for me, or for you, or for anyone. You got to try and be smart. I think about that quite a lot. I don't know how good I am at it, but I'm trying.
It's hard, but it's like, it's also like with this band, it's like, for the most part, this is a 5-piece band, and now we have like somebody who's driving us too, and it's like, it's kind of like part of my job now is to like make sure those guys are taken care of and like safe and protected and as much as possible. That's kind of a duty that I want to like, if I'm trying to generate money, it's like, it's not just to like put into a new graphics card for my computer. It's like, I want everyone to go home and feel fed, by their soul, or make sure their souls are fed, and their bodies and their minds and stuff like that.
Hey, thanks so much, Will. Good to chat. You inspire me.
Cool. Hey, same to you, man.
I like to end these asking with like a bit of like a work fail that may or may not come to mind.
Okay.
I've always kind of fucked up at my jobs. I'm just inherently an optimist, and will say I can do things when I can't, and then fuck it up, but learn or something. There's some kind of moral in that. But what's your when I say that? What do you think of? Do anything spring to mind?
Oh, three or four things just came into my mind as soon as you asked me, and I'll try to pick one. There was like, because I'll be honest, I like when you asked me to do this podcast, I like did like a skim of like, okay, who's been on the podcast. I'm gonna click on a few, and like I wasn't sure exactly how much you're talking about jobs or if it's just kind of general stuff, and I was like, all right, I should like prepare some like work related stories or something like that. But anyway, work fails. In high school, I worked at a greenhouse, like a florist in my hometown. Just kind of like day to day after I'd work after school, and like they'd just kind of have greenhouse tasks for me to do. You know what I'm talking about, like a greenhouse?
Nice. A flower shop, like they were growing the flowers in there?
Yeah, more than just flowers. It was kind of like house plants and like industrial, like it was like a kind of a big complex. Shout out Christensen's Florist.
The house plants, people love it. That's an economy, right?
Definitely. I don't know if any of my plants are visible, but they're not in good shape. But anyway, I did not get along with the boss. They were like kind of Republican carnivores, and I was a young teenage vegetarian, capital D Democrat at the time. So we just didn't communicate well. And, that was like my first experience getting fired. It was like a really rainy day. They had me move this giant tarp outside. It was like an hour-long project. Just like I may have a dad bod now a little bit, but I'm still pretty scrawny, and I was really scrawny back then. And I was just kind of like this little twig moving a giant tarp for like an hour. And it was like right as I finished it, soaking wet in the rain, and I came back inside, and the boss was like, I think we're gonna let you go. And I was like, all right, good day for it. That makes me feel awesome after all that work. Why? I don't know if that's a fail.
Hey, no, it all counts. It's all an experience. Why do you reckon? What were the factors behind his thinking?
They said something about how they would give me something to do, and I would just kind of stand there and not do it right away or something like that. Obviously, I'm more suited to things like working in a comic book store than hauling houseplants and tarps and repotting things. It's just, I did recover later in life. I did some landscaping in Minneapolis for a company called the Gardening Angels, and I did pretty good at that job. You fit right in there. I did fine there. So maybe I did come around, but I'm a slacker at heart, and I deserve to be at a comic book store.
Right on. Big Willie Anderson from Hotline TNT here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. Thank you for listening. If you like Hotline TNT, you can go back and listen to episodes with Military Gun, Kurt Vile was the other day, Dan Yeaman from Lifetime, Kid Dynamite, Paint It Black, Metric, Snail Mail, Big Thief, The Menzingers, Andrew Savage, Matt Kerekes from Citizen. Loads of great stuff. Loads of great episodes recently, so you can go back and listen to those. If you're into it, you can subscribe, you can leave a rating and a review. Got episodes coming up in the next couple of weeks with Speed. Tomorrow we'll have Eugene from Go-Go Bordello, and after that we got Lauren Hibbard, Frank Carter. Yeah, loads of stuff. So subscribe. I'll see you then. Cheers. Part-time jobs, part-time jobs, part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs, part-time jobs, part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs, 100 part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs, 101 part-time jobs.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.